everyone, and welcome to the eighth episode in the second season of the Principal Podcast. I'm your host, Grace McCullum, and I'm so excited to bring you a very special episode today as we look ahead to our big reunion weekend that's always a hit coming up very soon. We thought no better time than to bring in two of our esteemed alums. I have two incredible women with us today. I have Bertilia Trieu, who's joining us from class 2011, as well as Jie Ying Wu, also class of 2011. So cohort 2011 coming in strong today on the pod. I'd love to pass it over to you, Bertilia, first, just to give us a little introduction into what you're doing now and a little bit about you, and then we'll pass it over to you, Jie Ying.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Bertilia Trieu. I'm joining from New York City today. I currently work as the manager for outcomes and data analytics at Hospital for Special Surgery. We are a hospital, an academic medical center focused on musculoskeletal and orthopedic care. And I specifically work within the Education Institute, which oversees education for community members, for professionals, and trainees. And my work focuses on understanding the impact that our educational programs have, as well as building a story using data.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. How cool for our listeners. I think our students especially will find that really fascinating as we get into the podcast. Ji Ying, we'd love to hear a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm joining from Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm an assistant professor of computer science here. I teach intro classes in artificial intelligence and in robotics, and a graduate seminar on building intelligent surgical robots that hopefully will help get better patient outcomes in all sorts of diseases. I run a research lab that focuses on developing better tools for surgeons in the operating room. Right now, we're working a lot with augmented reality. So when surgeons take out a cancer to show like, hey, this is where like you may have missed some parts, you should go and resect more here to ensure that they get the negative margin and patients come out cancer free after surgery. We try to improve surgical training of giving surgeons better feedback in the operating room of this is where they should be looking, this is what they should be doing at each step. Um, yeah, and then one of the most exciting projects in my lab right now is to automate surgery with a robot. My team is looking at building a scene representation, so accurately updating the machine's model of the patient anatomy as it performs the surgery. Other teams are working on where the robot should cut the tumor out. And so yeah, it's a really big project. I'm excited to be in this, and working on it.
That is so exciting. I love hearing that. Actually, just this weekend, 20 of our girls just completed kind of an intensive 3.5 day workshop with a new program that we've developed called Women in Scrubs, really trying to have our students have exposure and access to excellent surgeons. We see that now there actually is equity in health sciences between females and males in terms of admissions to university. Actually, we're seeing even more women in health sciences being admitted, but we're still seeing a little bit of a gap in medical leadership, as well as certain aspects like surgery, anesthesiology, as another example. So, a really cool opportunity for our girls. They worked with surgeons at St. Michael's Hospital, and they were using, just similar to what you were talking about, certainly not as extensive, but using the simulation lab and doing practicing laparoscopic surgery in a simulated environment, of course, practicing suturing, practicing in a simulation trauma bay, really trying to have our girls have an interesting exposure and really be able to see themselves in these spaces and hopefully follow both of your incredible footsteps. So we'll talk about those footsteps more in just a moment, but I did want to just talk to you a bit about Branksome. So you're both from the class of 2011, and I know that you were pals, you were friends at Branksome. And of course, the students who are listening are going to have lots of questions that they'll want me to ask, but I know one they're going to certainly want me to ask. Were you team Thunder Crunch sandwich or team pierogi? What was your favorite meal when you were here at Branksome? They always want to know from our alums what they loved. It's a big point of contention. between students? Which favorite is the winner?
Did we have Thunder Crunch
I
sandwiches when we
don't
were at
think
Branksome?
so. I
You
think
didn't
we
Pierogies
have
for
Thunder
still
Crunch
sure. I
sandwiches?
don't.
Oh my gosh! With our young alums, we always have them in, and we always put out Thunder Crunch sandwiches. But you had pierogies.
We
we
had
had
pierogies.
pierogies. I
Yeah.
remember
Okay.
liking the pierogies.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I
Those
guess
were the best meals.
Team
it's
pierogi.
gonna have to
Pierogi Wednesdays.
It's gonna have to be. Oh, is it on Wednesdays? That's so funny. Now it's like maybe once every 5 weeks we have pierogies. It's not every Wednesday, but, okay, it's a tally mark for team pierogi. Um, so you guys were pals, you were friends at Branksome. Bertilia, you started with us in grade 8 and Jie Ying, it was grade 7, right? Amazing. So how did you guys meet?
Yeah, I think strongest memory of being with James in higher level math. It was a small class,
Who was
just
your teacher? Was it Miss Louie?
Miss Daynard.
Anyway,
Okay.
Yeah, it's a small class, and we all bonded together because it was a tough class too.
it was so hard.
Yeah.
HL math is no joke. It's for those who really love math.
Or something. I remember sitting in front of Miss Daner's office being like, "I do not know how to do any of this help."
Yeah.
And look at you now. Look at that. You talked a little bit, Jean, you were like, "Oh, I know Miss Louie's gonna watch this." Was she one of the teachers that was really memorable for you?
Yeah, I mean, she came to visit me in Nashville just a few months ago, so we're still
Oh,
in
that's
touch.
amazing. I think that's so special about Branksome. Like, these relationships always continue on outside of Branksome. Branksome just stays a part of our alums' lives. I love that. What about you, Bertilia? Any teachers that you wanna shout out? Anyone who really stood out for you?
Mr. McVeigh, higher level history. I think he's retired since. And also, she wasn't a teacher, but she was my residence don, Miss Craig, who I believe was at Branksome for a few years after.
And she's still here. Now she works in
Yeah,
admissions. She'll be so delighted to hear that.
she was definitely like a mother figure to me as I was adapting to being a boarding student and living independently.
Yeah, she's a pretty remarkable lady, that's for sure. Well, she'll love that. She'll love that. Um, okay, so you both graduated in the same year, 2011, and you've since carved out really impressive careers as you've just been touched briefly on in the medical field. Yet, what I think is interesting is neither of you took this like a traditional path that would, to becoming a clinician. What was the aha moment when you realized that you could impact patient lives through data analytics and robotics um, more than perhaps through a stethoscope?
Yeah, it was grade 10 careers. I remember being in that class and we had to do all these different personality tests and give you a list of careers that could potentially fit you. And one of them was working as an epidemiologist, which really stood out to me because I always knew I had interest in the healthcare field, but not necessarily in the biology behind it. So that exposure to working in public health propelled me down this path to focus more on the social sciences and the population aspect behind medicine and healthcare.
That's great. And what about you, Jiying?
I don't know that there was an aha moment. I think it was a continuation of many choices. Um, I think in grade 10 career, it was for me very engineering heavy. I knew that was sort of my path. And I wanted something that wasn't like all computers on a physical aspect. So for my personal project, I think I did something in robotics. And then I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was really Miss Louie pushing me to sign up for summer camps to explore engineering that got me thinking more about like robotics as a potential career. And then when I went to university, I was torn between sort of computer engineering, computer science of like what I should do. Then I did computer engineering because on the physical stuff, I started research in a more theoretical field about energy consumption of servers. And I'm like, this is too theoretical. I can't do that. I went to the hospital. I'm like, hey, do you have some project for me I could do? And so I got into a research project on doing ultrasound diagnostics with machine learning. And so applied to PhD programs. And I really liked the interactive part of working in a
Mm.
hospital that the surgeons had problems that they brought me that I could solve. But I still wanted the physical thing, not just ultrasound images. So I went to a surgical robotics program for my PhD, which again was more not theoretical leaning, but more sort of on the robotics development. But then when I was interviewing for faculty jobs, I was really drawn to Vanderbilt because it has a tight collaboration with our medical center here. There's a lab space that's co-located in a hospital, and that's really helped put me in close contact with many surgeons who come to me again with their clinical problems. And with the co-location, I could really have extended conversations with them about how we could develop technology to address their needs.
I think it's so interesting. What I loved hearing from both of you is like for some students, maybe it's a course that's really designed to help them understand themselves, kind of like an aha moment. For others, it's like a stacked process of many little decisions and following your gut and understanding what matters to you to kind of get to where you are now. I think those are two really important things for our students to hear. And of course, I also love hearing Miss Louie encouraging you to do engineering camps and what are you going to explore in the summer. And I just think that's something that's so special about Branksome. Like teachers really care. And I always tell our students, don't forget, no teacher does it for the glamour of the job. They're doing it because they really care about kids. So listen to their advice. And our teachers take such um, a special interest in our students. So I loved hearing that. It's awesome. Well, you're preparing for your 15-year reunion. Can you believe that? No. It's it goes quickly, doesn't it? How does it feel when you reflect on your shared kind of your Branksome roots, while both contributing to such a critical, cutting edge advancements in the medical field? Can you believe how far you've come in just 15 years? When you think about it, it's a long time and short at the same time.
It's wild to think that my high school classmate is now an assistant professor at a university.
Actually, funny story. I was looking up what Bertilia is doing, out of curiosity in preparation for this podcast. And her hospital, actually, my center that I work with, Vice Vanderbilt Institute for Surgery and Engineering, is trying to build collaborations with that hospital because we're building out a New York City campus. And HSS is one of our sort of potential reasons that we want to move there to build collaborations with really cutting edge orthopedics surgeons and techniques.
Amazing. Well, there now you have even another connection.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be seeing you in person soon.
Yeah, right? We'll see.
Amazing, I love that. We always say all roads lead to Branksome, so wherever you end up, I'm sure it'll be connected somehow. Um, I understand that as Branksome students, you both had really diverse interests, from serving as the boarding prefect to playing badminton and chairing the World Affairs Conference for Bertilia to engineering camp, as you just mentioned, Jie Ying, tutoring and orchestra for you. How did the IB curriculum and the Branksome environment encourage you to pursue these really non-linear paths in STEAM?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I think I was just trying to do one of each. And so I think where it gave me an advantage is it felt a little bit like I was forging my own path through the different things that I was interested in, and Branksome gave me opportunity to explore all of these things. What I see in my students and some of my peers is they are more hesitant to be the only woman in the room sometimes than I am, and I'm like, just like, no, I chose to be here. This seems fine. I'm used to just be like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it now in ways that I sometimes wish my students are better prepared for. Because this is what's going to happen, right? In surgical robotics, I'm often the only woman in the room.
I definitely resonate with what you said about trying to do one of each, and I think that's one of the beauties about the IB curriculum. You have to do a science, you have to do a social science, you're doing two languages, and it builds out this really robust student at the end who has multiple interests and multiple paths that they could potentially pursue. For me, I knew I was interested in healthcare and the sciences. I took my two sciences, but I also had a strong interest in the social sciences, and I was able to pursue that by taking history, by doing a world affairs conference. And you also had your service and your action in the back end, like that's where badminton kicked in.
And I feel like we are more understanding of what it really takes to be a successful woman in a STEAM field, and I think previously it was of course, naturally, a large focus on math and sciences. But now, I mean, looking at your kind of breadth of what you did at Branksome, that's really what we're promoting with our girls now is it's so important for you to follow your areas of passion. It's important that you're building out athletics, for example, if that's what you're interested in, leadership opportunities, like with the World Affairs Conference. The arts play such a massive role in STEM, which is why we call it STEAM at Branksome. We put the A in there for arts because there's so many interconnected layers to that. When I think about both of your roles and your jobs, so revolutionary in the field, and they're certainly not solely because of your interest in math and science, right? It's your leadership that you were able to develop. You have to use so much creativity, creative thinking, collaboration. I mean, these are all such important aspects, and I think that's where the IB comes in as well. Is ensuring well developed humans leaving our school. um, as well as all those extra things that you did, they're so important to the overall picture of your work. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think my path to assistant professor was really on more. I didn't want to do coding all the time. I wanted sort of the people aspect, and the skills that I exercise the most right now seems to be project management, trying to ensure that everyone has what they need to succeed. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that gets left out of a lot of conversations, as you say, with the focus on math and sciences.
Yeah, you must see that as well in your work, Bertilia. The human part of these jobs is so important, particularly in a world that's becoming further driven by AI.
Yeah, the human part and the ability to be able to accurately articulate what you want to say, whether it's verbal communication or written communication. Going into university, that was one advantage that I really saw from my break some education was how much writing we had to do in all
Mm,
the disciplines. And with the extended essay, you're writing so much that you're well positioned in university to know how to produce a large amount of content in a short
mhm.
period of time. Whereas I saw a lot of my peers struggle with that same thing. Like, how do I write a thesis statement?
Yeah,
How do I accurately craft together an essay? And these are skills that you still use on a day-to-day basis, whether you're writing a
yeah.
cover letter or just drafting an email to be able to coherently ask for what you want to position yourself in a way that speaks to what you've done.
We hear that so often from our students who come back, and what they say often is, "I was really prepared," and some of my roommate was not prepared. They had not written to the extent that I had, and didn't have the coaching that I had throughout high school. And also, Bertilia, I was smiling because I just think it's wonderful that 15 years later, the words "extended essay" are still at the tip of your tongue. That's funny. Okay, so Bertilia, your work at the Hospital for Special Surgery involves using data to improve patient outcomes in a field that can often, I'm sure, I'm guessing, feel very clinical. How do you use data to ensure, a warm, enhanced experience for those human beings that are behind the numbers?
One thing I love about what I do now is that it's not just about the numbers. I do both quantitative research and qualitative research, which balances having that number heavy focus with actually talking to an individual, hearing their story, and getting deep into what their experience is. And that's really the root of using all this information. It's still data, but you want to tell the story at the end of the day. What do the numbers mean? What do they mean for the future, but what is the person behind the scenes actually telling you about how they experience the educational program, what type of pain they're feeling, how things have improved for them or maybe not improved. Like, what are the gaps that we're trying to fill using the data that we've collected?
I think that's so important, and, as we were just talking about, I think it's the collective experience educationally, the well-rounded experience that allows you to do that. I think people can think of something as that's data-driven as being very numbers-driven, but it's really about human connectedness. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Ji Ying, I have a question for you as well about your work. In your research at Vanderbilt University, you really focus on transforming surgical robots from tools into intelligent assistants. How does the operating room of the future look? When you consider what's coming next, and how does machine learning help bridge that gap between human skill and robotic precision?
Yeah, I think hopefully operating rooms of future will have more machines that bring information to where the surgeon needs it to be. Right now, when I go to watch a surgery, they're looking on their computer at the sort of entrance and then trying to memorize all the imaging and then going to the patient and really relying on their memory and sort of their spatial mapping to say, oh no, this is where I'm going, this is where the blood vessels are that I should be avoiding.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the technology of the future will be able to project some of those into the field of view as they are operating. Um, I think the operating room future should extend a little bit beyond just the OR of tracking the patient progress in recovery to
Mhm.
think about how we can maybe optimize the process in the future, right? Of if this patient, for example, one of the problems I looking at kidney stones, something like 20% of patients who get kidney stone surgery needed reoperation within the next year or so because the first operation was incomplete. And so, why was it incomplete? What was it about the surgery that could have gone wrong that led to that? I think it's a little bit controversial right now because there's a lot of liability concerns, right? So it's interesting talking to surgeons and patients about how much technology do we want? So we're trying to mix in a little bit of also qualitative research with our development of surgeries because um, it feels necessary. A lot of patients have told us that they trust their doctors in ways that they cannot possibly imagine trusting a robot right now. And
Right.
so I think it needs to be some sort of partnership between the two, and we're still discovering what that partnership should be.
I think that's so fascinating. When people, I'm sure our listeners, when they heard me say surgical robots, I mean, they're envisioning a robot performing the surgery. And that's, it's not what you're talking about. You're talking about taking a tool and turning it into a more of an intelligent thought partner or guide with the process. And I think, I can see where the tension would come in your work of wanting to use maybe AI, um, as you said, surgical robots, but not lose the human ethical part that comes with that, the human judgment and the human behind the work.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I would love it if my autonomous surgery project succeeded beyond my wildest dreams, and we could have autonomous surgery. I think that could really improve accessibility of surgery. Um, but the surgeon doesn't seem replaceable in this equation, right? Like when patients go through informed consent, they're consenting to a surgeon doing the surgery on them. What does that mean when it's more and more taken by the robot?
So interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Um, and what's the margin, right? Of like how much work is being technically done by the surgeon versus robotics. Fascinating. Well, thank you so much. Well, this question is for both of you. As alums living in your major hubs, Nashville, New York, you see firsthand how the world is shifting and how quickly it's shifting. How has your Branksome education helped you to navigate those complex challenges of this quickly ever evolving world? And what role do you think alums play in our motto, keeping well the road for future generations?
I think at Branksome, we've been put in an environment where we're encouraged to be independent thinkers and to challenge things that are presented in front of us, even if it is taught to you in a classroom setting. So, going into the quote unquote real world and having that type of critical thought is very beneficial in crafting what your own opinion, what you want your own opinions to be, what you want, like who you want yourself to develop into, even.
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know, assuredness of your opinions, the ability to plant a flag in the sand and be like, this is what I believe in, and I will debate this, right? I think that's important, especially when, like, I see more and more students not being sure what they want to present and over relying on AI tools. AI is great, right? But you need to also then say, this is the part that I like that it generated, this is the part that I don't like, and maintain that balance of, all right, you need to know what you're trying to say. And AI could help you craft that. But if you don't know what you're trying to say, it's not going to do a good job of crafting that.
Yeah, that's something we're really leaning into right now with all of our students. I think schools are all trying to play catch up with AI, but at Branks, I'm really proud of what we're doing here. We're really leaning into AI and we're really teaching our girls like exactly what you've just talked about, Jing. Like, how can AI help you? When is it a thought partner? When can you use it to be more efficient in your work? And what is it that you really have to understand to use it? When is it ethical to use it? When should you not use it? And how do you vibe code or how are you able to use generative AI versus agentic AI in ways that really make sense to the work that you're doing? And it's a whole new category of what it is that we need to model and teach for our students.
Crazy times to be rethinking our computer science curriculum with vibe
Yeah.
coding.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at schools who also have invested so much in teaching just basic coding. I'm not saying that that's irrelevant now. There's certainly merit, but now we have to change how we're doing things because a lot of what we've been teaching has become redundant, and we need to think about how we're doing it a little bit differently. Um, I have a question for you, another one that's for both of you. If you could both go back in time and talk to your graduating year selves way back to 2011, what advice would you give um, current Branksome students who are passionate like you were back then, about things like science, STEAM, social impact? What advice would you go back and give yourselves that our students of today could learn from?
Probably keep an open mind of like you don't know what you will find when you go out there. I didn't know surgical robotics existed as a field when I was at Branksome. So it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. There will be lots of new things to choose from.
Oh, I love that. It's especially important for our students who are thinking about university choices right now. And what would you say, Bertilia?
Oh, I would say exactly the same thing. You may think you know everything there is about what you're interested in, but then you learn more, you meet new people, and understand ways in which you can approach your field of interest through other avenues. I knew I was interested in public health, but my understanding of public health, leaving Branksome, was so narrow in just like the tracking of diseases, maybe vaccinations. But I have colleagues who work in public health through marketing. They're very much on the communication side. So you have healthcare administrators, you have individuals who are working in nonprofits or in school settings with um, health education there. So every field definitely has more to explore.
I just think that's such wonderful advice. I hope all of our GYs are listening to this episode. It's such a stressful time, when they're really feeling like what they're choosing is what they have to choose, and that's the path set for the rest of their lives. But as we're hearing from you, you just don't know what's out there yet, and it's okay. It's okay for the plan to shift a little bit and not be as linear as maybe we would like it to be. That's good advice. Okay, last question for both of you is what are you most looking forward to? You're both coming to reunion weekend this year. What are you looking forward to?
Um, I would say just connecting with classmates. It's been a great opportunity today just to learn about what Jiying's doing and everything that she's accomplished since coming to Branksome, or since leaving Branksome, I should say.
Amazing.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see where everyone is at there's a few people that like you keep in contact with, you know what they're doing, but then oh, the entire class of like that would be so interesting to learn about their paths.
Well, we're really excited to have you both, and I'm excited to show you the changes to campus since you've been here. I think you'll just be wowed by seeing the new building up. It's pretty amazing, and you'll be in great company if it's anything like last year. 400 women were on campus for our reunion last year, so it's a busy weekend on campus at Branksome. It was my first time experiencing it last year. I was blown away. I've never seen a school with such an engaged and connected alum community. So we're so excited to be welcoming you back. Okay, but as we close, we always ask some rapid fire questions. So are you ready? Okay, awesome. Let's go. So, Bertilia, the first one is for you. What's a song that you play on repeat? And we're going to add it to our Branksome Spotify playlist.
Right now, it's Dive by Olivia Dean.
Oh, it's a good choice. Good choice. Okay, Ji Ying, what is a guilty pleasure that you'll never give up?
Oh gosh, probably video games. It's
Ooh,
such a time
love it.
sink, but also I can just turn off my brain for a while.
Sometimes we just need to do that. What's your favorite video game?
I play a lot of Civilization.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not cool enough to know what that is, but it sounds amazing.
Got into that briefly for maybe a weekend and then realized that the learning curve was too steep. Didn't want to invest the time to learn it.
Well, I started on version 3, now we're on version 6 or 7. 7 is out now. So,
Oh
it's
wow,
a
you're deep into it. I love it. Okay, Bertilia, if you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be?
Tough. Well, yeah, I'm pretty curious to see what life as Geeing would be like at the forefront of AI, given everything that's happening now.
I think that would be really cool. Ji Ying, what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
find mentors who are willing to give you constructive criticism. It's too easy to find people who are like, "Yeah, that sounds good." They haven't thought deeply enough about your problems probably then.
I love that. I think that's really important. I think if not, you're in an echo chamber and it's really hard to be innovative and be your best if you're in an echo chamber. Love that. And the last one's for both of you. In a word or small phrase, what would you like to be remembered for at Branksome?
Being kind.
I love that. Kindness from Bertilia. And what about you, Jiying?
Um, School is fun.
School is fun. That is an awesome way to end this episode. I want to thank you both for taking the time. I know you're so busy and the very important and transformational work that you do. So, thank you for taking some time to be on the podcast. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in person in May at the reunion weekend. It'll be nice to actually get to meet you other than just virtually. And to all of our listeners and everyone watching on YouTube, we want to thank you so much. We hope that you enjoyed this special episode. And we are just so grateful for all the wonderful questions and engagement that we get. So keep them coming. Thanks, everyone. And until next time, bye for now.